You open the account on a Tuesday. It takes 11 minutes, most of which is spent uploading a photo of your driver's license that gets rejected twice for glare. You link your checking account, you set up an automatic transfer, $500, the first of every month, and then you close the laptop and go about your day like nothing happened. Nothing did happen. Not really. $500 left your checking account and entered an investment account, and inside that account it became shares, fractional pieces of an index fund tracking the S&P 500. You own a sliver of roughly 500 companies now. Not a meaningful sliver. A sliver so small it would take a microscope to find your name attached to any single share of any single company. But it's there. You check the account the next morning. It's worth $498. You feel something close to betrayal. The market moved 0.4% overnight, which is nothing, which is noise, which is the financial equivalent of a draft under a door. But you notice it, because $2 against $500 feels like a percentage your brain can process, and your brain processes it as loss. By the end of the first year, you contributed $6,000. The account is worth approximately $6,226. The growth, $226, is invisible in any practical sense. It wouldn't cover a tank of gas in some cities. If you stopped right now, withdrew everything, and walked away, you would have a story about how you tried investing once, and the story would not be interesting. Nothing dramatic happened. The market went up a little, down a little, sideways for stretches that felt longer than they were. What's actually happening at this level is not financial. It's behavioral. You are building a habit disguised as an investment. The $500 leaving your account every month is becoming background noise. The same way a subscription becomes background noise. The same way rent becomes background noise. You stop seeing it as a choice you make and start experiencing it as a fact about your life, except this one is quietly accumulating ownership in things instead of quietly draining away. This is the year the habit either survives contact with boredom or it doesn't. Most people who quit investing quit here, in year one, not because they lost money, but because nothing happened, and nothing happening for 12 straight months feels like proof that nothing will ever happen. You don't quit. You keep the transfer running, and because you keep it running, something starts, quietly, that you won't be able to see for years. 5 years in, you contributed $30,000. The account is worth roughly $36,700. That gap, $6,700, is the first number in this entire process that feels like it came from somewhere other than you. It's not a number you put there. The market put it there. Compounding put it there. Time put it there. When you see $36,700 where you expected to see $30,000, there's a small recalibration that happens. You start to believe, just slightly, that this works. This is also the year you experience your first real drop. Not a bad day, a bad stretch. The market falls 15% over about 6 weeks. Your account, which a month ago said $38,200, now says $32,400. There's a specific kind of discomfort to watching money you worked for simply evaporate on a screen for reasons that have nothing to do with anything you did. You think about selling, not seriously, but the thought crosses your mind, the way a thought crosses your mind when you're standing near an edge, not because you want to jump but because the option exists. You don't sell, partly because you don't know how, partly because the idea of locking in a loss feels worse than the loss itself, and partly because the transfer is still scheduled for the first of next month regardless of what you decide. So you decide nothing. The $500 goes in anyway, at a lower price than it would have a month ago, which you don't realize yet is the best possible outcome of this entire situation. The recovery takes about 4 months. The account climbs back past where it was, as if the drop never happened. Except it did happen, and you were there for it, and you didn't do anything, and that turned out to be the correct response. This is the first time the phrase, time in the market, stops being something you read and starts being something you experienced. By year 10, you've put in $60,000. The account is worth roughly $91,500. The difference, $31,500, is more than half of everything you've ever put in. If you stopped right now, you'd have made more from sitting still than you'd make from a year and a half of full contributions. A 1% move in the market used to mean almost nothing. At $91,500, 1% is $915. A genuinely bad day, a 2% drop, costs you close to $1,800 in a single afternoon. You didn't do anything. You were at work. You came home, opened the app, and the number was $1,800 lower than it was that morning. And your first reaction is alarm. Your second reaction, the one that takes longer to arrive, is that $1,800 is roughly what you contributed over the past 3.5 months, and there's nothing to do about any of it except keep transferring $500 on the first of the month. A good year, an 18% or 20% year, which happens more often than people expect over a long enough timeline, can add $15,000 to $18,000 to an account this size. That's close to triple what you put in over 12 months. The account is starting to do more of the work than you are, even though you're still doing all of the work that matters, which is showing up every month and not interfering. Someone at work mentions they should get into investing and asks what you do. You explain it: automatic transfer, index fund. You don't touch it. They nod, and you can tell from their face that it sounds too boring to be real. They're looking for the version of this story that involves picking the right stock at the right time. You don't have that story, because that's not what happened. What happened is that you did the same small thing 120 times in a row and didn't stop, and somewhere in the repetition, $60,000 became $91,500 without you making a single additional decision. 15 years in, $90,000 contributed. The account is worth roughly $173,000. $83,000 of growth, almost matching your entire effort with effort of its own, except its effort required nothing from you. No extra hours, no side hustle, no risk you actively took on beyond the risk of leaving the money alone. You run a projection out of curiosity. $173,000, left alone at the same average rate, would become roughly $545,000 by year 30 without another dollar going in. 15 years of contributions has set up a foundation that could more than triple on its own. This is the part of compounding that sounds like a sales pitch and isn't one. It's just what the math does when you give it enough time. A 15% drop now means about $26,000 gone in a bad month, more money than you've ever lost in any other context in your life. The percentages are the same as they've always been. The dollar amounts attached to those percentages have grown into something that commands attention. But something else has grown too, and it's the thing that makes the drops survivable. You've been through this before. You watched the account fall in year 5 and recover. You watched it in year 8, and again in year 12. Each time the recovery came, and each time contributions kept going in at lower prices during the dip, which you've slowly come to understand is not a bug in the process. It's the process working correctly. By the end of year 15, the account holds almost twice what you've put into it. The next 15 years are going to take the exact same actions and apply them to a base that's already nearly $200,000. What happens next isn't a continuation of what's already happened. It's an acceleration of it. 20 years. $120,000 contributed. The account is worth roughly $294,000. The growth, $174,000, is now larger than your entire contribution total. The money the market has added to this account is worth more than every dollar you've personally put into it across 2 full decades. You are no longer the primary source of growth in your own portfolio. The portfolio is. A strong year adds close to $60,000 to this account. $60,000 in a single year is more than 10 years of your contributions combined. And it happened because you left $500 a month in an account and let 2 decades pass. A bad year takes the same amount away, and by now the fear has changed shape. It's not gone. You'd be lying if you said a $60,000 drop doesn't register, but it's no longer accompanied by the question, did I make a mistake? Because by now you know the answer. The answer is that the mistake would be reacting to it. $294,000 is the size of money where you start to understand why people talk about investment accounts as a kind of parallel financial life running alongside your actual one. Your salary pays for your actual life, rent, food, the things you need this month. This account doesn't pay for anything. It just exists, growing and shrinking with the market, completely disconnected from your day-to-day finances. And that disconnection is the entire point. It's money that isn't subject to the same pressures as the rest of your life, because you've never needed it to be. 25 years, $150,000 contributed. The account is worth roughly $475,000. The growth, $325,000, is more than double everything you've ever contributed. Over the last 5 years alone, the account added roughly $181,000, exceeding the contributions of the entire first decade combined. A single percentage point now represents $4,750. A normal, slightly above average day in the market adds close to $2,400, almost 5 months of contributions, generated in a single afternoon, by an account that requires nothing additional from you. You go on vacation for 2 weeks, don't think about it once, come back, and it's worth $4,000 more than when you left. You start thinking about this account in terms of what it represents rather than what it is. $475,000 isn't a number you'd spend tomorrow. It's optionality, the ability to make different decisions than you'd otherwise be able to make, even if you never actually make them. It's the difference between a financial emergency being a crisis and being an inconvenience. 5 years remain. The math is almost unfair in how heavily it's tilted toward what's already there. You'll contribute another $30,000 over the next 5 years, the same as every 5-year stretch before it. But the existing $475,000 will generate somewhere in the range of $230,000 to $250,000 on its own, because averages are smooth and the base is now enormous. 30 years. $180,000 contributed, $500 a month, every month, for 360 months in a row. The account is worth roughly $745,000. The growth over this entire period is approximately $565,000, more than 3 times everything you ever put in. The final 5 years alone added more than the first 18 years combined. The shape of this growth, if you graphed it, wouldn't look like a line. It would look like a hockey stick, flat and almost invisible for a long time, then steep, almost vertical, at the end, not because anything changed about what you were doing, but because the base had become large enough for the same percentages to produce dramatically different dollar amounts. Of the $745,000 in this account, $180,000 came from you. The other $565,000 came from nowhere you can point to. It wasn't a raise, a bonus, an inheritance, a lucky break, or a single good decision made at a single moment. It was the accumulated result of leaving money alone in a system designed to grow, repeated over a time frame long enough for the growth to compound on itself, until the growth started generating growth of its own that had nothing to do with you anymore. If you'd started 5 years later, at 35 instead of 30, contributing the same $500 a month, the final number wouldn't be close to $745,000. It would land around $475,000. 5 years at the front end are worth $270,000 at the back end. 5 years at the front end are worth more than an entire additional decade of contributions, because of where they sit on the compounding curve. This is the single most important fact in this entire story, and it's also the easiest one to ignore, because the cost of waiting doesn't show up immediately. It shows up 30 years later, as a number that's smaller than it could have been, with no way to go back and get those years again. $745,000 generating a conservative 4% in withdrawals produces roughly $29,800 a year without touching the principal, every year, indefinitely. That's not a number that replaces a high income, but combined with other sources, it changes what retirement looks like. It's the difference between retirement being something you hope works out and something that's already, mathematically, partially solved. Here's what's strange about this entire process, looking back at it whole. At no point during these 30 years did anything dramatic occur. There's no moment where you made a brilliant call, picked the right stock, or did anything that would make for an interesting story at a dinner party. The entire outcome, $745,000 from $180,000, hinges on a single decision made once, and then never revisited in any meaningful way for 3 decades. The decision was to start. Not to start big, not to start with a strategy, not even to start with confidence. Just to start, with $500, and to set up a system that didn't require you to keep making the decision over and over again. The automatic transfer is doing something easy to underestimate. It's removing you from the process. Every month, the version of you that's stressed about money, or excited about a purchase, or convinced that this particular month is different, doesn't get a vote. The transfer already happened before that version of you woke up. Most people who try to build wealth through investing fail not because they pick bad investments, but because they interrupt the process. They stop contributing when money is tight, the worst possible time to stop, because tight months tend to cluster around downturns, and downturns are when contributions are most valuable. They pull money out when the market drops, converting a temporary decline into a permanent loss through the act of selling. They chase whatever performed well last year, moving money around in ways that feel productive and are actually just a tax on impatience. None of that happened here, not because you're smarter than the people who do those things, but because the system was designed so that doing nothing was the default and doing something required active effort. Inertia, which destroys most financial plans, was the thing that made this one work. At no point in these 30 years did the account feel like it was on track to become $745,000. In year 1, it felt like nothing. In year 10, it felt like a modest success. In year 20, it felt significant but still abstract. Only at year 30 does the full shape become visible, and even then, only in retrospect, by looking back and realizing that the slow, boring, unremarkable thing you did every month was, the entire time, the only thing that mattered. $500 a month is not a large amount of money to most people hearing this. It's a car payment, a portion of rent, a handful of subscriptions and takeout orders. The amount itself was never the point. The point was the 30 years, and the decision, made once, to not interrupt them.